Number 10. White Vision. I talked about this before when WandaVision was going on, but for those who missed out on that context or have yet to see WandaVision or read Vision Quest, let me explain here. Vision Quest is a story in the comics where Vision finds himself transformed into an all-white version of himself after being completely disassembled. Hank Pym ends up attempting to put Vision back together after he's been recovered, but in doing so is kind of forced to wipe his mind clean. He ends up getting back a version of his memories where he knows who everyone is in relation to him, which is good. For example, he knows that the Avengers are his teammates and that Wanda is his wife, but he doesn't really have any emotional attachment to these memories. Now, how does this relate to Kang? Well, later on it's revealed that he was the one pulling the strings in a larger plot behind the scenes who made this all happen, but under the guise of his persona, Immortus. Kang is like a lot of different identities and personas throughout time. As we get to know him, you'll get to know that probably. In fact, Immortus in the comics is pretty well known for meddling with Vision throughout much of his life and his and Scarlet Witch's relationship. He just loves to get to meddling with Vision and with Scarlet Witch. He's like how Mr. Sinister is with Scott, that's kind of what Kang is with Vision.
Number 9. A strange switch. Seeing an iconic character rock somebody else's outfit, or anything really, it's always a treat. I mean, we've gotten a few glimpses of it with Loki pretending to be Captain America a handful of times. It's amazing. It also makes room for nice little cameos here and there. But some behind the scenes footage shows us Tony and Doctor Strange rocking each other's gear in Infinity War aboard Ebony Maw's spaceship. Another amazing moment just cut from Infinity War, guys, come on. So we have Tony wearing the cloak of levitation with a big smile on his face, of course, and Doctor Strange wearing the Mark 50 with stress written all over his. Seems fitting, literally and figuratively. So sure, maybe they filmed this at the time to reference it later. I mean, Endgame focused so much on the past movies and key scenes, so they probably just killed two birds with one stone and shot scenes for like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and then they just kind of take it out here, put it over there. Fair. I don't mind waiting for this one. Whatever the reason for filming this, it's probably going to be a lot of fun regardless. Number 8. Deadpool. Since the release of the R-rated Deadpool movie fans waited patiently for, so the next big question with the whole Disney and Fox merger is what's going to happen to Deadpool? Well, the next Doctor Strange sequel that I mentioned earlier could have the answer. Signing what is apparently the biggest deal in Marvel Studios history, fans can finally look forward to Wade Wilson coming home. We've got SpiderMan, and now we're getting Deadpool. We're getting there, guys, we're getting there. Slowly, one piece at a time, we're doing it. So the talk of the town is that Taskmaster is the antagonist that we're waiting to see in Black Widow, but he's gonna be the anti-hero in a much more violent Deadpool 3. It's gonna be half reboot, half sequel type scenario, with multiple timelines being crossed or retconned. Who better to get it straight than the fourth wall-breaking Ryan Reynolds? Number 7, the next Captain America. Since Endgame, we've all been thinking it. Will Sam Wilson keep that shield passed on to him from Steve? Will he take the place of Captain America? Will Bucky be the call-in Captain America in case Sam Wilson gets a cold? The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is set to release sometime in 2021, with COVID delays pushing our hopes and dreams further and further away. Fingers crossed we're still getting it in the near future. And with Wyatt Russell being cast as US agent in the upcoming Disney Plus show, with a little sneaky Super Bowl spot showing the Falcon working out his frisbee arm, it's still up in the air who will ultimately get this shield. So the Sokovia Accords are still a thing. We still need a rulebook when it comes to superpowers and super people. So the government might not be so keen on just letting these vigilantes, as Thaddeus Ross says, run free with these super suits. My theory is that they will both have their own shield and role in future Avengers. Because in 2016, Sebastian Stan put this photo on Instagram, so do it that way you may. Number 6, Adam Warlock. So one of the many Guardians of the Galaxy 2 after credit scenes name dropped one of the biggest players, Adam Warlock. Now, at the time, the Soul Gem was yet to be seen in the MCU, so when we see this cocoon with that color of the power source, we thought, especially with Adam Warlock's strong Soul Gem connection in the comics, that it was basically confirmed that he was the Soul Gem or something to do with it. And this sent fans over the edge, and especially with the whole Thanos theory that was floating around. So basically, meaning that every letter in the name Thanos stands for an Infinity Stone and their appearance in the MCU. So T, as in Tesseract, ended up being the Space Stone, and then A, the Aether, ended up being the Reality Stone. And then N was a necklace, Doctor Strange's necklace, of course time, and O as in the orb from Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a power stone, and finally S, the scepter, the mind stone. So H was the only missing link at this point. It was either Heimdall or something to do with Adam Warlock. Those were the main two guesses. But now that we've seen all this play out, we have yet to see Adam Warlock still. And the H perhaps meant Vision's head, and the S is in fact sacrifice for, you know, the whole Gamora thing. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 should have Adam Warlock, or else I'm gonna be pretty upset. Keanu Reeves is gonna play him also, for sure. I'm calling it now. You heard it here first. Check the date. Number 5, the Defenders. Okay, so with certain studios having rights over specific characters, it can get a little confusing. The Defenders have been killing their own game on Netflix, with Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, all getting their own spotlight. It was only a matter of time before we got to see them all come together in 2017. But like all things, contracts expire. These rights for the characters are slowly returning to Marvel. Slowly but surely. So Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and now, as of like last week, Daredevil have all had their rights returned back to Marvel, with the Punisher is returning February 18th, 2021, at the same time as Jessica Jones. So we're getting there. We're getting the whole little team roster. We're pulling them back. Could we finally be seeing the Dream Team alongside the other Dream Team? Absolutely. It would be really weird for Marvel not to want to run with this ASAP, especially now with all these characters leaving. I miss you, Cap. I mean, throw them in WandaVision. Show us something. We're literally still waiting for Black Widow, man. Like, come on. Number 4, Nova. Richard Rider. So watching Thanos collect the Infinity Stones one by one with ease was super intimidating. Like, this dude threw hands with the Hulk. Then the Hulk was like, yeah, I don't really want to get punched in the neck again, so I'm gonna head out for a bit. The movie starts off moments after Ragnarok ends, which is sweet. It's a nice smooth transition so you can binge 2 of Marvel's best movies back to back. But we see Thanos after he's already obtained the Power Stone. And the last we saw that stone, the orb that I was talking about, was on Xandar, home of the Nova Corps. Now it's said that he took the stone after he decimated Xandar. Decimated it. So is everyone dead? What about Richard Rider, Nova himself? Well, we got so close in Guardians 1. I really felt like we were getting a juicy after credit scene with him. But Infinity War screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely said in the past that their original plan was to include Nova as the last survivor. Was this completely scrapped? Will we get to see this unfold in a flashback? Time will tell. Number 3, the Multiverse. Of course, with Sam Raimi now on board to direct Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, set to release in 2022, when I'm like 40, Jesus. Fans of course have one thought. Will Tobey Maguire return? And will he dance? The Multiverse is going to be epic. We saw a version of it in the Oscar award-winning SpiderMan Into the Spider-Verse, and with all these contracts and studio deals, this is now the perfect time to shake up / course correct Marvel needs. The highly anticipated sequel will follow the events, of course, of Endgame, but it will also cross over with the new Disney Plus originals, WandaVision and Loki. Now, those characters are dead at this point. I mean, Loki got the chokey, and then Vision, yeah, you know what happened now. But who really knows at this point? I mean, the multiverse is ideally the place where we'll see all these things kind of correct themselves or fix or retcon. Fans have also speculated that this is the way that Marvel will introduce the X-Men into their worlds. Number 2, Big Groot. The Guardians of the Galaxy films are so much fun. One of the best parts is the bromance that goes on with Bradley Cooper's Rocket and Vin Diesel's Groot. Now, in the first Guardians, we see a mature-ish Groot. He's a little silly. I mean, he likes drinking water out of fountains, not so great at sticking to plans of jailbreaks per se. He's a big, lovable giant. And then after he saved the day by sacrificing himself, he grew back. But this time, he was a little guy. He likes dancing, doesn't follow instructions too well either, and he has a thing for taking toes. It's great to see a character change like him because it gives the supporting characters the excuse to change their attitude up. Like Star-Lord goes from giving Groot a hard time to comforting him when he listens to music. Like, it's great, one to the other. But according to Vin Diesel, we have yet to see Groot at his full potential. He says the first Groot we saw was a freshman in college. Guardians 2, he was in nursery school. Just wait till we see the full-fledged working man Groot. Wait till we see Groot.
Well, we're waiting.
And finally, number 1, Black Widow. Yeah, with 2020 being the first year since 2009 where we didn't get a Marvel movie in theaters, it's fair to say a big moment we're waiting for to this day is a day where we can watch Black Widow, like her own movie. This movie's release date has been pushed back numerous times, of course because of COVID delays and with decisions being made by other companies to release movies on streaming services, like Wonder Woman is now going to be on HBO Max this Christmas. In 4K though, It's a weird time because, well, for one, we've had to wait this long for a Black Widow movie. Like, that alone is far too long. Even if this movie did come out last May, that took a bit too long still. Like, I don't know. Hopefully this new release date of May 7th, 2021 works, because it would be a shame to see her big solo flick added to Disney+. Like, Mulan should have just waited for the theater treatment as well. Come on. I mean, yeah, we're bored, but we'll get there, man. Just stay calm, stay safe. It's all coming eventually. It's all good. There's a lot of goods in the pipeline. We're getting there. Kicking off the list at number 10, Miles Morales. Of course. So since Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out, people loved it. It won an Oscar. Easy. I saw it multiple times, and we got to see Miles Morales in action on the big screen, finally. Yes, let's go. And then we were blessed to have Miles in the spotlight in the highly anticipated new Spider-Man game. And if you were part of the bunch that secured a PS5, you're probably choosing which outfit to give Miles right now as he swings through beautiful, snowy New York City. Must be nice. So I mean, it's only fair to assume we're gearing up for his big MCU reveal. I mean, we already saw Aaron Davis in Spider-Man Homecoming. Aaron Davis, of course, being Miles' uncle, played by Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. So of course, we should be getting Miles any time now. My guess is that he wasn't snapped away. Miles was not snapped away in Infinity War, but he laid low. You know, he did like 1,000 push-ups every day, and now with Peter back, they can explain the new, well-trained Spider-Man, and they can be the same age. Boom, there you go. Just a thought. I don't know. I'm here for it.
Number 8. Adam Warlock and Pip the Troll. Now, it's no secret that Marvel hinted at the arrival of Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and while Starlin didn't actually create the character, he did write some of the major stories for him. He and fans also view the introduction of Adam Warlock as an opportunity to bring another one of his own characters into the MCU, Pip the Troll. Now, if you don't know who Pip is, he is this quirky little alien that's usually depicted by Warlock's side as his companion, but he doesn't actually possess any powers. Starlin also states that Pip would be someone for him to chat with, you know, his own little personal perverted degenerate, if you will, and adds that the cigar-smoking alien would be used as sort of comic relief, which all good Marvel movies have. Do you think Adam Warlock would be introduced in his own standalone movie, or will they introduce him as a villain or hero in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Why don't let me know what you think in the comments. Number 7. The Mandarin versus Shang-Chi. Now, this seems like the most obvious choice, as he is apparently set to appear in Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, and I really think it'll be a missed opportunity if Marvel chooses to go in a different direction. Ben Kingsley's take on the Mandarin still does exist in the MCU after his introduction in Iron Man 3, and rumor has it that the character could return in some capacity to play the antagonist in Shang-Chi's cinematic origin story. As Starlin notes, this would have the added bonus of circumventing Marvel's problematic kung fu character, Fu Manchu. He states, I suspect they'll jettison Fu Manchu, and they could bring the Mandarin back. Ben Kingsley is still out there, but, you know, that's just speculation on my part. Number 6. Thor gets a new form. Now, this has been a theory that was going around long before the announcement of Thor Love and Thunder. With Chris Hemsworth's contract ending, it would make sense for Thor's hammer or Stormbreaker to find a new worthy wielder. In the comics, we do eventually see Jane Foster take up the mantle of Thor during her battle with cancer, and after Thor lost the ability to wield his hammer. Though this did have its drawbacks, as while she was Thor, all toxins were expelled from her body, and that included the radiation from the chemotherapy. This does unfortunately lead to her death, and later revival, which we'll get to that maybe in another video. With Natalie Portman reprising a role as Jane Foster in Thor Love and Thunder, will we get to see the storyline on the big screen? Well, I think yes, because if you look up the movie on IMDb, she is listed as playing Jane Foster and Thor. Good job all you fans out there who called this from a mile away. I hope you're as excited for this movie as I am. Number 5. New Avengers. Having already said goodbye to Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Widow in Avengers Endgame, I really wouldn't be surprised if other founding members of the Avengers slowly started to be phased out. And it seems like other fans agree with me because predictions have been going around on the internet about who the next Avengers might be. Now, in the comics, the Avengers team has appeared as many different combinations of heroes, like the Mighty Avengers consisting of Ares, Black Widow, the Sentry, the Wasp, and Wonder Man, or the A-Force consisting of powerful female superheroes such as She-Hulk, Dazzler, Medusa, and Singularity. This could be Marvel's excuse to bring a whole new batch of heroes to the big screen, and I really think they should take that leap. The original members will forever have a place in my heart since I grew up on them, but with such a large arsenal of heroes, it would be silly for the MCU not to use them. Number 4. Doctor Strange 2 and the Illuminati. Now, if you're familiar with the comics, you probably know that the Illuminati was a secret society of heroes who worked covertly to battle the universe's most dangerous threats, counting the likes of Iron Man, Captain America, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange among his roster. Considering the organization was formed in the comics following the Kree-Skrull War, an event that fans were hoping to see depicted in the Captain Marvel movie, we're left wondering how the MCU might introduce this whole idea. While this is a significant enough event to probably merit its own movie, there have been very pervasive hints from both Benedict Cumberbatch and Scott Derrickson for a long while that this may factor into the plot of Doctor Strange #2. I guess we'll have to wait to see what Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has in store for us. Got any ideas of how they might actually implement this story? Why not let me know in the comments below? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Number 3, the Sinister Six introduction. Now, I'll definitely be the first to say that this is a bit of a leap, but considering the long-term fan thirst for a Sinister Six movie, which nearly got going under Sony but eventually, cratered alongside their Amazing Spider-Man franchise, it feels like the right time to give the supervillain stable their time to shine, especially since some core members have already been introduced, with Michael Keaton's Vulture meeting Scorpion and Shocker in Spider-Man Homecoming, and after meeting Mysterio in Far From Home, we're just one step closer. Though it might be a little bit risky pulling this off without seeming too rushed, as there would be very little character development for all of them, I really think if they buckled down and got serious about incorporating them, they could pull it off. Who knows? Maybe the third installment of Tom Holland's Spider-Man will introduce more members and set everything up for a fourth movie. Number 2, Nova movie. Having almost made an appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was sadly drafted out before the final script. Nevertheless, there have been very persistent rumors about Nova getting his own solo movie, with Kevin Feige recently deeming him to have immediate potential in the MCU. It's likely Nova will show up in 2020's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and from there he could get a standalone outing in the latter end of Phase 4. Considering Infinity War sees Thanos annihilate Xander and the Nova Corps off screen, a Nova movie could potentially show the Mad Titans rampage in full, at once filling a peculiar gap from Infinity War and rolling into Nova's origin story. If they get everything in order and do it right, he could definitely be a breakout hero in Phase 4. Number 1, the Skrull-centered Secret Wars storyline might still happen. Fans were initially disappointed by the surprise plot twist that happens about halfway through Captain Marvel, because it seemed to dash any hopes of a movie based on the popular Secret Wars stories from the comics. However, Kevin Feige has gone on the record saying not all Skrulls are good, just as not all humans are necessarily good either. Could that mean some characters in the MCU may turn out to be Skrulls in disguise? Who knows? One way or another, we probably haven't heard the last of the Skrulls, and personally, I hope to see this storyline see the big screen one day. Number 10, Howard the Duck and Spider-Ham movie. Now, this one is an absolute long shot, which is why it's placed so low on the list, but come on, how cool would it be to see a buddy cop style movie featuring these two? With the popularity of Spider-Ham on the rise after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and with Howard the Duck already being an established character in the MCU, it could really happen. The only question is, would it be like an animated feature, or will we get to see a more lifelike version of Peter Porker? Like I said, this is probably one of those ideas that'll never actually see the light of day, but hey, a guy can dream, right? Number 9, Miles Morales and Homecoming 2. Sticking with a Spider-Man-ish theme, there is another prediction that I would love to see come to life. With Spider-Man Homecoming not so subtly confirming the existence of the New Age Spidey in the MCU through Donald Glover's character, fans have since been theorizing and hoping that he would get introduced in the next Spider-Man movie. Now, although we didn't actually get to meet him in Spider-Man Far From Home, we have been given a few appearances of the character through the spectacular Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, as well as his role in the Spider-Man PS4 game. Given the popularity of the character and the Miles Morales-centered video game coming to the PlayStation 5, I really think it would be in Marvel's best interest to bring this character to the big screen.
Number 9, Quantumania. Let's talk about one that I'm sure you expected to be here on this list. Quantumania is the place that we know that Kang will be appearing in the MCU. At least, that's what we've been led to believe, based on the casting of Jonathan Majors to play that role in the Ant-Man and the Wasp film, the new Ant-Man and the Wasp film, Quantumania. Now, I personally do not trust any press releases or information given to us by Marvel and Disney until I see it on the screen, because, they've misled us before in order to delightfully surprise us, and I do not doubt that that could happen again. But hey, that's part of the wonder of the MCU. They mislead us in an attempt to kind of preserve the mystery of the story, which I like, so I'll forgive them. However, assuming they aren't doing that here for some reason and they're being truthful, we can assume that Kang will be appearing in Quantumania as the major villain of that film. The question remains, however, will we possibly see him pop up elsewhere before his appearance in this film? And friends, if you love Kang as much as I love Kang and you were excited to see him in the MCU, honestly I feel like I really only became excited once Jonathan Majors was playing him. That's what really was like, oh okay, I'm down for Kang then. Then be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Show us that love for Kang and comment below. Maybe we'll do more Kang lists. I would like that. Would you like that? Number 8. Young Avengers. Another connection that could lead us to Kang is with the gradual appearance of the Young Avengers team, who seem to be being collected in the MCU. We are getting Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, Wanda and Vision's children Wiccan and Speed, aka Billy and Tommy, and we have also seen Patriot, aka Elijah Bradley, the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, known in the comics as Captain America. But who else was on the Young Avengers team? Iron Lad. Iron Lad is potentially someone we've already seen in the Iron Man films via Harley Keener. Many fans have speculated that the character who helped Iron Man earlier on, and who showed up at Tony's funeral, will likely take on the role of Iron Lad, who in the comics is hero Nathaniel Richards, who later learns of his future as Kang the Conqueror. So Young Avengers could provide us with another long and winding road that leads to Kang. Number 7. TVA, or the Time Variance Authority, if we're using the formal terms. When it comes to Loki, there are a few indicators that we could be seeing Kang show up. 1. Kang is attached to the TVA in the comics. At one point he attacks the agency, and one of his other personas through time, Immortus, is also attached to the TVA as well, as they actually sent agents back in time to interact with Immortus in his own past. So many time things. The TVA and Kang are not strangers to one another, and both are heavily involved in time travel shenanigans. When it comes to Kang showing up in the MCU, however, and potentially being the mastermind behind the TVA, the question remains of what exactly does he want? Why would he be here? Is it possible that he's been the one deciding what the sacred timeline should look like for his own machinations? Or simply to ensure his own existence comes to pass within the MCU? Setting up the pieces to make sure he ends up as the most powerful being in the end. But the question is, if Kang is the one behind the TVA, will we be meeting him, or perhaps another version of him, as potentially Immortus? Number 6. Quantum Realm. One of the theories when it comes to the location of the TVA is that they could exist within the Quantum Realm, a realm that we were introduced to through Ant-Man. Time reportedly works different at the TVA, making it hard for the agents working there to really tell how long they've been there, or how much time has passed. Of course, this could be because they themselves are variants who have been turned into agents, so their minds might be a little wonky as a result. But another place where we know time moves differently is the Quantum Realm. When Scott Lang as Ant-Man was trapped in the Quantum Realm, for him only 5 hours had passed, but outside of the Quantum Realm, 5 years had passed on Earth, so presumably 1 hour equals 1 year there. Even Loki, when he is at the end of time, notes he doesn't really know how long he's been trapped there, and he kind of remarks that it could have been weeks, or it could have been months that had passed. It's really hard for him to tell. If the TVA or possibly the end of time is connected to or located within the Quantum Realm, then this supplies us with another connection to Quantum Mania potentially, where Kang is intended to appear. Number 5. The color purple. During episode 5 of Loki, Sylvie and our main variant Loki end up joining forces once more in an attempt to uncover who is really behind the TVA and likely hiding and cleaning everything up at the end of time, where they find themselves after being pruned. In order for them to lift the veil, so to speak, their plan is to connect with our mastermind's guardian, a skeletal and smoky creature who appears to be made out of light and purple clouds. He's named Alioth by Kid Loki, which is another thing that we'll talk about in a minute. One of the other things that I noticed about this creature was how striking the color of it was, especially as we've seen a lot of purple themed things in the MCU over the years. But there's also something purple that we hadn't seen just yet, and that is Kang. Now I know what you're thinking, but Amanda, Kang is blue. Like, look at his face, he's got a blue face. Yes, he does have a blue face, but a good amount of his costume is purple, meaning it could very well be a key color for him thematically whenever Kang does end up showing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this time, of course, where he shows up could be 9. Color motifs and themes could of course be used to throw us off, but from a cinematic standpoint, we've mostly seen them used in the MCU to help us identify key characters and items. So cinematically, color association is like a huge thing in film, in my opinion, and definitely in the MCU. Number 4. Alioth. Alioth is the name given to the purple beast that we see in Loki episode 5 by Kid Loki. The creature being given this name is very important, as it's definitely meant to be a reference to the Alioth in the comics. Alioth the Usurper, the supreme time being. Alioth is both a foe of Kang's, but also kind of a sometimes unknown and potentially unwilling ally. Kind of in the way of like my enemy's enemy is my friend. Does that make sense? You know what I mean. Kang at one point sicks Alioth on the TVA, pitting them against one another. When it comes to controlling all of time and the multiverse, there are actually a few rivals that Kang has in the comics. One is the TVA, another is Alioth, then there is the Congress of Realities, and of course Revelation, the future version of his love, Ravonna, aka Terminatrix. Also, Terminatrix is a really cool name. It just makes me think of Dominatrix. It just makes her sound like more of a badass. Also, when people have like costumes that are mostly like armor plates and weird spots, I'm really into that. It's so like 80s and 90s, I love it. Number 3, the castle or Chronopolis? Some believe that the castle we saw at the end of episode 5 and got a glimpse of when Sylvie connected with Alioth is actually Kang's, or rather Kang's other identity, Immortus's. Immortus's castle is never really given a name in the comics, but it has been referred to by fans as Castle Limbo, due to where it is located, in the magical Limbo dimension. Now this Limbo I don't think is the same Limbo as Magic's, just to be clear, Magic being the mutant and X-Men member, but in the MCU they could be the same thing, we don't really know yet. Just to make things easier obviously, because we can't have two things that are called Limbo that are different. That's going to be really confusing for people watching. So if we do end up having kind of two Limbos, one is going to need to be renamed, making it a lot less confusing for people that are watching. If it is also Magic's Limbo here in the MCU, there is a good chance that the castle could belong to Doom. Now it definitely looks like Doom's castle from Latveria, and Dr. Doom has ruled Limbo before, so it could still be in Limbo and somehow be Dr. Doom's castle. That's a possibility. But back to Kang, or Immortus. Immortus's castle is located in a version of Limbo that is different in that it exists between the gaps in time, whereas Magic's is kind of like a hellish otherworld realm. And this castle is also located in Chronopolis, so it's all connected. Immortus's Limbo castle is also therefore located in a place that connects to the nexus of all realities. Sounds like it would fit in pretty well here, right? We've heard Nexus come up a lot in Loki, I'm just saying. Number 2, Judge Reyeslayer. Reyeslayer is an important name for Kang fans as it is the surname of his love Ravonna. Ravonna Reyeslayer is also known under the alias Terminatrix, and is a woman that Kang seeks to earn the love of as he falls for her pretty much as soon as he sets his eyes on her in the comics. She makes her first appearance in Avengers issue 23 in volume 1 out of the 60s, where Kang attempts to impress her by summoning and defeating the Avengers. I mean, that's how you win a woman's heart, right? Just beat up a bunch of people? Ravonna at that time actually is not impressed by it and refuses his marriage proposal and attempts to woo her, claiming that he is just below her station as she is a princess, so she's not feeling it at that point. However, Judge Reyeslayer seems to have already been won over by Kang at this point, as it's indicated that everything she does for the good of the TVA for all time always is actually to protect her beloved Kang for all time always. At least that's based on her facial expression when she's having that talk with the other agent. It's like, I saw that look. She was like, oh, you know that I'm protecting someone else. Number 1, where all nexuses lead. Even if WandaVision, Loki, the Young Avengers, or the Multiverse of Madness, or anything else that we're about to get, all do not give us a direct connection to Kang or Immortus, the fact remains that he'll still likely surface as a bigger bad in the future. If we don't get him now, we're getting him at some point. Very likely in Quantumania, of course, and considering how big of a villain he is in the comics and how he's known to exist throughout time and in various other realities and identities, odds are good that he'll be the next big bad and mastermind revealed to have been pulling the strings all along. I mean, it's either that or it really was Agatha. Was it Agatha all along, or was it Kang all along? Is Agatha Kang? Oh my gosh. Probably not. That'd be crazy.